Welcome to the Foster Friendly Podcast, where we come together to make a difference in the lives of children in foster care and the families who care for them. Foster Friendly communities are part of a nationwide movement by America's Kids Belong that helps people from all walks of life take action and help kids and families thrive. You'll hear from former foster youth, foster and adoptive parents, social workers, faith and business leaders, and other experts on how to engage in meaningful ways. Our hosts Brian, Travis, and Courtney explore inspiring stories of everyday people making a difference in foster care where they live and work.
Hello and welcome to the Foster Friendly Podcast. And we've got a big announcement today, Travis and Courtney. Courtney, you didn't know. Courtney's leaving.
Oh,
We're firing her.
it's a tell-all. Here we go.
No, Courtney is stepping down from the podcast and from AKB. And I know our listeners, who are regular listeners, are like, well, we put up with the other two guys. So we need Courtney. So, you are going to be on the next episode, which is our 100th episode. And then we hope to have you on as a regular guest, or at least an occasional one when we're stumped by things. But we want to take today to focus on Courtney and honor her and get her wisdom speaking into this. And so, Courtney, we are so. Gosh, we are grateful, and we'll get into that more, just of who you are and what you've meant to us. We'd love to hear what your new chapter is, and I'm guessing you're leaving because of Travis. Is that right?
Yeah, you're a close contender.
Well,
So,
you're a close contender.
Yeah. The two of you have, yep.
We've done our
pushed her over the edge.
We did our part.
She can handle 80 foster kids, but couldn't handle
two bald guys.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Well, Courtney, so tell us what's your new chapter in life gonna look like?
Yeah, actually, life won't look much different for me. Still homeschooling my kids, still fostering, doing foster care training here locally. But my husband we have a home building company that we've had for 20 years. And for 20 years, I've asked him, do you need help? Do you need me to do this? And it's always like, no, I don't know how to get this stuff out of my brain to have you help. And a couple months ago, he looked at me and said, I need your help. And that was the first time he asked for the help. And I was like, okay, I need to really consider this. So I'm already on payroll with our construction company, working very minimal hours, but just helping him organize, because our office, you can't see it. It looks really put together.
Oh yeah. That.
No, that's not me. Mine is this office. I can't stand the way it looks most days. So I'm going to do something about it.
Wow. So you're teaming up more with your husband in that work. That's great. I mean, I love it when couples can come together and work on a project together like that. Obviously, you guys do that around some high level parenting, but to do it around home building, which I love too. I grew up in a home building family, and
cool.
I love construction.
And for us, it's kind of interesting because we're at a new stage of parenting with all these adult kids, and we kind of been asking, and a few of them have expressed interest in taking over the company someday for the first time ever. So that's what led to this, was like, do you want to just stay where we are, or are we taking it to the next level? So I'm helping take it to the next level. So hopefully one of our boys can take over here down the road.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That makes sense. I can see you taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
It's kind of what you did with the podcast. So, I mean...
That wasn't too hard, but yeah. So we're happy for you and Bobby, and hopefully, yeah. And when we can steal you away on a special guest podcast, we can get little updates on your guys' life. So, and you live we live in a beautiful part of Colorado. I mean, lots of Colorado is beautiful, but it's especially beautiful over there. So
It is. So come
great
visit.
place to build
Yeah.
homes. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, Travis, you've put a lot of special work into this episode. But so I would love to hear just from you personally, before you do any special things for Courtney, just
Mhm.
what she's meant, what,
Yeah.
what she's meant to you, um, and any funny stories, or if anything comes to mind.
I know. I wish we had time to grab some more. She actually asked before we started recording, like, did you guys grab bloopers and stuff like that? And the funny thing is, man, Brian, it'd be you and me on the bloopers. I don't even know how many bloopers there'll be with Courtney, but except rolling her eyes when we say really stupid things. But um, this is an important one for me. It is a farewell. I did notice that, Brian, you and I are both wearing dark or black. She's, mourning, I guess. She's wearing white. I don't know what that means. I mean, freedom. I'm out of here.
Celebrating a new life.
A new life.
It's like after being baptized.
Well, it wouldn't be a Travis tribute without a quote. So I do want to say this, but from the
we need a Travis quote.
The 6th president of the United States. Take a guess who that is. Either of you, 6th president?
6th? No, gosh.
Monroe?
Okay, I think you might have 4. You're
Okay.
getting there. How about John Quincy Adams?
Oh, okay.
Who is a great quote that reminds me of your work at America's Kids Belong in this podcast. He says, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, and become more, you're a leader. And when I think of you and I think of the influence you have just living your life out loud, but then also teaching and encouraging others and being a shining example, I think of that and how much you are a leader in that way. I also think that me and Courtney are both from North Dakota, so we had that bond. And there's a great, I don't know how new this was, but because I don't go back there much, but there was a sign, the sign going into the state says, be legendary.
Yeah.
And man, you've lived that up. So yeah, be legendary. So, but yeah, I just want to say, in the time, didn't know you well, really at all, until really before the podcast, and come to, know you as a friend. You and I tag teamed on a lot of the production behind this thing. But Courtney really took the lead on, setting up the guests, episode ideas. So many of the best episodes were all you, and just the content, a lot of the questions you'd write. So you just really poured your heart and soul into this thing. The webinars I think of when I think of you, just hosting those and shining, and just kind of being in your natural element there. Just it's been a privilege and an honor to work alongside you, and yeah, you'll be missed.
Yeah, when Courtney, before Courtney lives where she lives now, she lived in this town I live in. And Courtney, my first recollection, memory of you is at our house. So Courtney would come over once a week and bring one of her 50 kids with her, and they would help out, volunteer, and we have a home office, and it was Julie's doing. So how'd you guys even connect?
Honestly, my husband and I moved to Colorado a little bit before that. We started getting involved in foster care. We didn't know much about the Colorado system, so we started just doing some research as we got licensed and found out about AKB. And there was a form on the website at that point of volunteer. As I filled out that form, and I don't remember who contacted me first, and I just started coming over. And then from there, it led to a job. I wasn't looking for a job. I wasn't applying for jobs. I was homeschooling 7 kids at that point. And we had just started fostering. Had our two who are now adopted in our home. So we had 9 kids, homeschooling 7 of them. And then I started coming over to your house once a week. So that's how it all started.
Yeah. So my wife and I would be they would come, she'd bring one of her kids, and they would help out. And then they'd leave, and then my wife and I would talk about them, like how awful they were. And so our conversation was like, golly, her kids are just so like I said, I was going to say well behaved, but that's it wasn't that. They were just respectful and kind. Like they were good with adults. I'm always impressed by kids who are good with adults,
Mm-hmm.
and I just take that as a sign of real intentional parenting, and that you're not just raising children, you're raising humans to be good adults. And so her kids were just so good with um, being mature, and so Julie and I were just like, golly, and knowing all the kids that she had, it was like, how does she do it? Just a really a competent, high capacity kind of a parent. And so then when opportunities came for like hiring, Courtney was the obvious choice. We didn't even care what the role was. It was like, let's just get her on the bus. And so it was a real honor. And then when we found out that she lived there a few years, and then her family decided to move to the western part of the state. Yeah, that was a kind of a sad day for us because it was nice to have them as kind of neighbors. So we're just and I, I trust that God was helping connect those dots for us. So she was just a huge blessing to us, and Julie and I really admire you and your family, knowing that you've had challenges, no doubt, but you handle them so well.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure, that's for sure. And it's not leaving without a lot of tears and questioning if it's best, but it is best. So
Courtney, do you have any highlights? I know this is such a unusual podcast for our listeners, but a lot of times our listeners do just like to know the human behind the information. Any stories, any highlights you like to reflect on the past? How long have you been with us now?
6 years, well, going on 6 years.
Okay, 6 years.
Yeah.
So any highlights from the past 6 years?
I've read that question. I'm like, oh my, there's so many different things I could say. But I think for me, the biggest highlight is my experience from where I first started at CKB and then moved into AKB. I've done a lot of different roles. So I've gotten this big picture vision, even to help me be a better foster parent, help me be a better mom. I worked with caseworkers when I did the IBP shoots. I was doing interviews and working with the kiddos who needed adoptive homes. So it's just been all these different things.
A lot of variety. Yeah.
A lot of variety that's helped me, speak into the podcast, speak into foster parents. It's just been a very well-rounded experience that has really pushed me in my journey personally, and hopefully it's made an impact for different people as well.
Yeah, you've done real boots on the ground stuff, and then stuff of up at the 30,000 foot level oversight and stuff like that. So, you've been a Swiss Army knife for us.
That's a good way to say it. Well, you kind of
this is the corkscrew.
My nickname is Corky often, so there you go.
Well, man, nice. Well, you kind of already alluded to this in what your answer that, you kind of wondered, well, you kind of said, I hope I made an impact on, even others inside of AKB, and you certainly did. So that is going to be, we have a few tributes we would love to share. So starting with Brian, you've got a couple that you're going to read, and then I'm going to read one.
Yeah. So, Courtney, this is from Sarah Kerr, our social media marketing manager. She wrote this. Courtney, I just wanted to say how grateful I am for you. You have poured so much into AKB through the podcast, webinars, and in many ways behind the scenes too. I've learned a lot from your wisdom, your honesty, and the way you lead with so much humility, never trying to be the hero, but always keeping the focus where it belongs, on the kids, families, and this mission. I'm really going to miss working with you, and I'm so thankful I had the opportunity to learn from you. And then Tracy Rudd, who you mentioned earlier just a couple of minutes ago, CKB, that's for our listeners, Colorado Kids Belong. So there's AKB, the national umbrella and then the state chapters. So Courtney worked with Colorado Kids Belong, the state, as well as then the national. And Tracy, who's the director for Colorado, said this: the first time I met Courtney, I knew I wanted to have her in my life. Courtney has greatly impacted our work here in Colorado. Her awesome personality and incredible foster care experience has influenced many people. I personally have been grateful to have her as a friend that I can chat with about the twists and turns in our personal foster care and adoption journeys. That's from Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
And the finale is the finale of this segment is a former colleague of ours, and really who was pivotal in really helping launch and getting this podcast off the ground. And that is our former marketing or executive director of marketing and communication, Nanette Kirsch. This is what she had to say. I always held great respect for Courtney for how her family served in foster care. With so much experience, she naturally became a go-to resource for our team. What surprised and delighted me was to see her lean into the host seat of the Foster Friendly podcast with so much charisma, empathy, and intelligence. She met each guest where they were, probably the same way she does each child who enters her home. She flourished in the role, and her presence imbued the podcast with equal parts energy and authenticity. Thank you, Courtney. You'll be missed.
Hey, friends. Boy, I'm totally pumped you let me participate in this. If there's one thing I love to do a lot is brag on my bride, Courtney. A, because she deserves it, and B, because it makes her really uncomfortable. So, Courtney, I love you, but I am going to take liberty at something that I think you have worked hard for and really, truly deserve. From my perspective, I've seen the hours that you've put in, the heart you've put in, the passion that you've put into this podcast. And I just want to assure anyone that's listening that Courtney is not merely a weekday podcast gal. This girl lives and breathes pretty much everything she puts her heart to. And the plight of the orphan and the widow and her opportunity with AKB has been something that I've, as a husband, been able to sit back and just grin because I've seen what joy it's been, what joy it's given her, despite the hours and the time and the commitment. She not only speaks it on a weekly basis, but she lives it all the way up until even today. She's writing letters, defending kids in our care at the social services level. I've seen her driving around town looking for parents because she loves them. Her heart for reunification, her heart for the children, just her heart for people in general has been something so special. And Courtney, from my perspective, you're one in a million. And from me to you, I thank you. I've heard people call you, approach you, write you letters, and telling you the same thing. And I just think it's super important that you hear it from hopefully others today in this podcast, but especially from me. I love you. I'm honored to be a part of your journey, and I can't wait to see how excellent you do the next chapter of your lives.
Well, now you got me.
Yeah.
Took Bobby.
Yeah, took Bobby. Yeah, special to hear him say those things. And again, I think that's just, it really does express my love for AKB, my love for this work, my love behind the mission. And it really was. I mean, we've talked about this honestly for over a year of, is it time to leave? Is it not time to leave? And every time we talk about it, it's like, no. I mean, just today, right before we jumped out, my son was like, are you sure you want to be done, Mom? I'm like, no, I don't want to be done. I mean, I truly don't.
Yeah.
But you know, I know there are times to really pray and reflect. And I do have confidence it's time for me to step into some different things, but it's so hard to leave an organization that is pouring into the mission of changing the experiences and outcomes for these kids. And that is why I have people ask me, honestly, and I'm not saying this by any sense to brag, but people are like, how do you do all the things you do? And it's really just because I have passion for it. It's not because I'm some superhuman, but I just keep doing it because I love it so much. but I am getting a little tired. I'm getting a little older. So it is time to focus a little more at home and other things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Travis, thanks for putting the little special effort onto this and giving Bobby a chance to share his heart and share that with the audience. So, Courtney, before we sign off, we want to spend a little bit more time getting your wisdom, because we always ask other people, for their wisdom. Would love to hear from you. You've fostered about over 80 kids, and if you were just thinking about the people who are considering fostering right now or in the midst of it, what advice do you have? Like, I imagine you've got 100 pieces of advice, but if you could find one to pull up and say, "This, I would love to share this advice with people," what would you want to say?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I teach foster care classes here locally, and I was just teaching them a couple nights ago, and a lady said to me, "You just kind of seem pretty calm and cool, and like you can kind of handle anything. Like, do you ever have things that rattle you, or that you're like, I don't know if we can do this?" I'm like, "Yes, all the time." But I think with experience, hopefully anybody listening who's a foster parent realizes, like, we don't have to have, again, perfect homes. We don't have to have it all put together. We just have to find the answers, right? Be willing to say, hey, I've got this new situation. And no matter how much training you go through, like, you're never going to have the training you need for every single thing, every single kiddo, every single need, but just be willing to find those answers. So that's what I told her. I said, you just have to learn how to be a resource finder. And being a resource finder, I think, is one of the biggest keys to being a successful foster parent. Is saying, I don't know how to handle this, but I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to keep on trying until I figure out something to help this kid get even an inch further where they need to go, whether it's academically, socially, mentally, whatever it is. I'm gonna keep on pushing on. And that'd be my biggest advice: is don't give up, keep searching, find those answers, because there is something out there. There's somebody who's gone through something similar who can help you. Find your people, find your resources, and keep plugging in.
Yeah, so good
Great advice.
And then you've also adopted, and any advice for adoptive families?
Yeah, and even going back to foster care, both of them, I feel like, let go of your expectations. We first started adopting, and I'm not going to lie, our mindset behind adoption has changed 100% from where we were then. At that point, we were like, we're just going to go do something good, and we want a big family, type mindset. And it was not around, we didn't know what we didn't know. We didn't know about trauma and grief and their mindset. So listen to adoptees, listen to their voices, get to know people. If you're considering adoption, I would highly suggest you get to know people who have been adopted and hear from them before you even think about going down that route. So it is not me-centered or even your family-centered. It really is centered around the needs of a kiddo and how you can come alongside them, not just how you can grow a family. Like I said, we got it wrong at the beginning. And yeah, we can learn a lot through the experience of people who have lived that side of it, not only the adoptive parent side of it, but the adoptee side of it.
Yeah, both your answers had the keep learning.
That is true.
Keep growing, keep learning.
Keep growing, keep learning. Yeah, man, so good. Yeah, and I love that. I really love also just what you just said about adoption, also being an adoptive parent myself. And we've had these conversations together too, and on the podcast of just like, and even our adoptive kids, their perspective changes as they grow and they mature and come to some new realizations about even their own story. So I love your advice to reach out and get some of their perspectives as well. But yeah, like Brian said, keep growing and learning is your big thing.
And just keep pushing into the kids. I mean, we have kiddos who have pushed us out of their lives, or who for a time period, or, and just recognizing, sometimes the best thing we can do is pray. The best thing we can do is support them the best we can. And, that doesn't mean it needs to be forever. That doesn't mean we failed. I think that's the other thing about me is I'm, I hold a little pride in that of big, beautiful family. We love our kids. We want them to love us too. But one of them rejects us. I hold it as like, oh, there's a ding on me. And it's not. It's, it's trauma. It's hard stuff. And we don't get to save our kids. We don't get to, decide what their emotions are going to be, but we can come alongside them, even though they might not be the emotions we want them to be having at the time. And so again, just really stepping back and not hosting our expectations and emotions on the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Yeah. All right. Well, we're in the final home stretch of the turn here around the track. So as we get this thing to the finish line, so in about every episode, we tend to ask, depending on the profile of the guest, one of these three questions, but you get all three of them. So I'm going to start with, and because you've got such diverse experience and even kind of in the recruitment field and talking to business and churches and stuff like that. So starting with this question, why would you say businesses should come alongside foster families?
It can truly make the difference in a kid's life of giving them some experiences that maybe they've not had before, of a business understanding, even a little bit about foster care, so they can treat that kiddo with the respect or not ask the questions they shouldn't be asking when they come into your business. But the foster families as well, to feel supported by their communities. I mean, we all know, we hear it all the time when foster families quit. One of the biggest reasons is they feel a lack of support or they don't feel understood. And so to feel like you have that community behind you, it does help you keep on going. It does help you feel supported and seen and valued. We've talked about many times, the first responders, the other people who get discounts, but to recognize these families are pouring in 24 hours a day, often late nights, early mornings. The caseworkers love them, but they get to go home at night, right? All the different people in the story, they get to go home at night. And these foster families have these kiddos with them 24 hours a day. And to really to have people recognize that and see how much a business can make a difference in a community when they're pouring into a foster family who's pouring into a kiddo in care, that we can change some of those generational things, that we can help them see what community really is, right? And if we all get that mindset and this kiddo feels that mindset, hopefully then all those things, whether they age out or reunify, whatever it looks like for their future, hopefully we don't keep on with that cycle, right?
Yeah.
And I think there are businesses I've heard of whose workers, they become a foster friendly business. Their workers start to see and understand they either get foster license or they start mentoring kids or pouring in or finding whatever it might be. I think a lot of times these businesses, people, we go in and out of businesses every single day. I think a lot of them have no clue what goes into foster care. And if they just get their eyes opened a little bit, and if we all have a little bit more compassion, it is going to change the system and change the outcomes.
Yeah. Okay. Next question number 2. If you could change one thing about the foster care system, what would it be?
I can't answer that question. It's not one thing. It's like
the whole system.
The whole system.
Here's, I don't think we're ever going to go back from not having a foster care system. And, I think we're going to have a foster care system. We have a need for foster care. But I've seen, just in our 20 years of fostering, I've seen trends come and go. I've seen this, initiative and then this, and it shifts all the time. And believe it or not, I've seen even some of those initiatives not be child-centered and child-focused. And that 100%, I'm not saying we don't think about the birth parents. I'm not saying we don't think about caseworkers and foster, whatever. But the number one priority needs to be the kiddos, the kids and teens who are experiencing foster care. And we take them out of every single conversation we have, and we remove that, then we're doing harm to these kids. And we shift one way or the other, and it to and fro, and that doesn't work. And then we come back, and every single conversation, Bobby alluded to it in that video that he sent. We have a kiddo in our care right now who some people think he should return home. Some people think he shouldn't. And he has some very significant developmental delays. And there are some reasons with his living situation of why those things are happening. And if I'm not saying he should not reunify ever, I'm not saying mom and dad don't love him. I just wrote this letter saying why I think he needs a level of care that foster care can give him right now because of these things that's affecting him, not his parents, him. And that doesn't mean, and some people say, well, that's judging the parents or you're not having a love for the parents. Like, no, that is not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying he shouldn't return someday. I love his parents and I want good for them. But I'm saying when you look at him as a child, what are his interests, his needs right now, his best interests and needs right now? And that's what we need to, every meeting needs to be focused around that.
Yeah. So good.
Real good. And you have an enormous credibility in this space because not only your experience, but you are highly, in other episodes and just the way you talk about reunification and foster care's primary goal being reunification, and your honoring and your relationships with birth families, for you to kind of come out and really be child-centric first, but also you have enormous, I guess, honor and praise as well too, and compassion towards the bio families. That means even more. That's really credible for you to say it that way. Final question on this one is, how would you finish this sentence? Speaking of kids first, what kids in foster care really need is?
Yeah, what kids in foster care really need is not a foster parent or someone who can promise forever. They need a foster parent that's willing to be in the messy middle, what I call it, the in between of not knowing how the story is going to end. Be willing to say yes day in and day out to the behaviors, to the court cases, to the missed expectations, going back to those expectations we hold, the broken hearts, whatever the outcome might be for this kiddo, to say yes to them and their needs for as long as that needs in the messy middle, until they're reunified, until they have permanency with that family or another family, but until they get to the next step, somebody to say yes along the way over and over and over and over again when it's really hard at times.
Wow.
Amen.
Yep. Amen. Couldn't end on a stronger note than that. And what a right way to end this podcast and end kind of your, I guess you'll be on, actually, let me say that. So this next episode after this is going to be the 100th episode, where we celebrate the 100th episode. So Courtney will be back on sort of that final time. This was just an episode that we wanted to kind of really honor you and kind of lean into kind of your insights and just the time you've been here. So in that episode, we will have some fun highlights and celebrate kind of those episodes and introduce the new co-host. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to send over to Brian any final words, and then Courtney, you get the last word.
Courtney, I believe that you came, and it wasn't just a coincidence, that this was something that God helped orchestrate, and we needed you, and you've been a huge blessing to an organization, to your coworkers, and to parents and to kids. And I know that God is going to continue to work in and through you in your next chapter. And Travis and I are just grateful to be beneficiaries of getting to have known you and worked with you for the past several years. And we are blessing you as you go on to your next assignment with your husband.
Well said.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank AKB, Brian, and Julie for starting this organization. And, you didn't want to do this. This wasn't something you set out to do. Surprise, how many years later, you're still here. But for you guys to say yes to this organization, the need, and all the people who work within AKB, and the volunteers that volunteer at the IBP shoots, and the foster families who are saying yes again, day in and day out, the people who are listening who are like, I want to do something. I mean, there is something for everyone. And like I said, this community model, these kiddos, if we can show them, what healthy relationships with healthy communities look like, we really can impact the future. And so foster care is a way that you can impact so many facets within your community. So keep pressing on, AKB, and everybody that's listening that is doing whatever you're doing, keep pressing on. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, will you help us reach more people by subscribing, sharing the podcast with a friend, and leaving a 5-star review? If you've been inspired by what you've heard today and want to learn more of how you can make a difference for kids in foster care and the foster families where you live, visit americaskidsbelong.org. We depend on individual donors to fund our work. We'd be grateful if you would consider joining us as a monthly donor. Visit americaskidsbelong.org to make your tax-deductible donation. Thank you. Together, we can ensure a family for every child in foster care and a foster-friendly community to ensure every foster family feels loved and supported.